Page 34, Boogie Blues. Starting out with the right hand. Not a lot going on. You can pretty much figure out what they're doing. But over at the top of page 35, in that first measure, you're starting out with the left hand here. Then you've got the 3/8 notes. Then the left hand plays the 2/8 notes with the stems going down. Then the right hand goes over it to play the last 2/8 notes. And the C in the second measure, that's right hand. And then the left hand takes over. Just so you get all that in. Other than that, the right hand, you can figure it out, it's no big deal. The left hand, at the beginning, at the top of page 34, this is a standard boogie woogie pattern. Get it? It's a 5-1, 3-2. Some people will slide the 3 off of the black note. That's a little dangerous, depending on how much, your party mood and what's going on. It's a little flashier to use the same finger, but I recommend using the second finger on the A. That pattern is used a lot, and you get it in the third line down. Then over on page 35, starting with the second line, you get this pattern again. This pattern, very common in boogie woogie. I recommend using a 5-2 on the first notes, and then a 5-1. Third line down, a 5-2 on the first notes. Pedaling wise, there's very little pedaling going on in here because it's out of style for the piece. You just don't pedal the piece, basically. They're using it more for effect. Look at the second line on page 35. In the second measure, you push it down right after, the right hand's down. Push the pedal down right after you play those notes in the left hand. Lift it up with the fingers. Don't connect the 2 measures together. So it's just used to bring out the overtones and help make it sound a little louder, if you will, and it's got a crescendo. You can't do a crescendo on a piano after you play the note. However, if you're singing it, you can crescendo up. It's up to you. Roadmap wise, on the first and second ending at the top of page 35, and notice there's no repeat sign. So you're not going to repeat it. There's even a note saying go to next strain. They don't need the note in there. And when you run into a situation like this and there's no repeat sign, you automatically go on. The first time you play it, you play the first ending, you skip the second ending, you go on to the next line and play there. You get down to the bottom of the page, you see a DC. They didn't put it all in. It should say DC al fine. DC means go back to the beginning. So you're going to go back and play page 34 again, and then when you get to the top of page 35, you take the second ending, and that's where the fine is. And while I'm at it, take a look at the last measure of the first line on page 35. You see that mess in the right hand? Those notes way down low like that? They put an 8VA under them and not had all those ledger lines. But the point is you ought to be able to figure it out. The first ledger line below the treble clef is a C, a middle C. And then you go down in thirds. It's every other note. So the next ledger line is an A. And the third ledger line down would be an F. So one of those notes is an F. Then the space right under it would be an E, except it's an E flat. So those 2 notes for the right hand are E flat F. And that's how you can figure those out, just carefully. Eventually you get to the point where you glance at it and you say, okay, you just know what they are. Because you can visualize that many ledger lines, you don't have to count them. Don't get too shook up when after you do the DC and you go back and you play it again, you get to the top of page 35, because it's here, then the left hand, then the right right hand. Well, in the second ending, that F and that's the chords. You just played them right before in the eighth notes. Now you're going to play them together as a chord. So. Let's try it together. Now this is a blues style, so I'm going to rock the eighth notes. We're not playing them even. A boogie woogie you might, but this is more of a blues boogie. That style. Very slowly. It's in common time or 4/4 time, so I'm going to give us 4 counts and we'll come in. Starting out here and here. And foot's on the pedal, ready to go. 1, 2, ready, and go. And. Play the whole thing, but to give you some idea, because I don't know if there's a recording of this, they say feel the beat, and if you're going to sing it, you're not going to sing that loud, that fast. But if you're not going to sing it, then you know. Get over to page 35, it's like so. The melody's in the left hand. Right. Then you're going back to your other. Then when you get to the bottom of the page 35, going into page 34, something like that.